Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm your host, Sam Dark.
And I'm Yuli DiMartino. Yes, we are live broadcasting across all platforms.
Yet again, live. And Yuli, we've seen you since our last episode Monday all over social media, both with Car Dealership Guy, but also you're famous in the food arena. But that's not all that's to you. What else you got, Yuli?
No, it's definitely not all that's to me. So 20 years in the business, I've held every position that you can have on the variable side. Came up through everything. Extensive experience on the new car side, most recently with Nissan, but also Ford, Honda, Suzuki when it was a thing, believe it or not. Jeep,
Suzuki.
Suzuki. Yeah, you remember them?
Oh,
And
yeah.
extensive used car. I was at a used car factory, we'll call it. We were netting $1 million a month. So all good things. How about you, Sam? Who are you?
You know what? My story's been told a lot. I started as a lot porter at an Isuzu dealership before the Troopers
Oof.
rolled over back in the early '90s. Went up through sales, finance. Loved this auto industry through that process, and then had a 17-year stint with a Swiss-based insurance company with Zurich. Props and shout out to that crew before I came over here to Ziegler Auto Group. So that's me.
Wow.
But you know what? Nobody wants to know what. Nobody wants to know me. Come on, Yuli. They
I want to
want
know
the
you.
news. They want the
That's
news.
true.
They want
That's
the
why we're
news.
here. What do we
So,
got
but
going on?
I love your food posts and excited to get into today's headlines. So, Ford is hiking prices on Mexico-built models after tariff hit. Effective May 2nd in the news, Ford is raising prices usually by up to $2,000 on the Mustang Mach-E, Maverick, and Bronco Sport. Vehicles built after that date will land at U.S. dealerships starting late June. Ford says hikes reflect, quote, usual mid-year pricing plus partial tariff pass-through. And then the commentary is, wow, the dam is broken, which I disagree with. But your thoughts first, Yuli.
Yeah, I mean, obviously prices never go down, they always go up. I don't think that 2000 is enough to absorb any tariff increase.
Oh, absolutely
No,
not.
no way, not on
No.
stuff like this, but
And guess where Ford is winning right now? Ford had the president of the United
ooh,
States of America
oh yeah.
announce an OEM factory program last month when they came out and said, "Hey, Trump tweeted to the world before Ford could even announce it, employee pricing for all." Stellantis quickly followed suit and Ford saw a bump. So we got a comment from David Thomas who said that's probably why Maverick sales were up 60% last month. Dealers had to be communicating this to buyers and perhaps even fleets, although my guess is most businesses aren't buying much right now. Here's what I would say. I disagree with David Thomas.
Yeah,
It's interesting because I think Ford leaned in and they got the benefit of employee pricing, and that's what caused the bump. This is not this $2,000 pricing is not to make up for the tariffs or or any of that, right? So
I agree. I agree with you. I think you're spot on.
yeah. All right. All right. So Ford pulls 2025 guidance braces for a $1.5 billion tariff hit. What do you think about that? Ford reverses its earlier stance, pulling full year 2025 guidance just days after downplaying tariff risks, despite beating Q1 estimates. And Yuli, before you give us your take on that, I go back to the president of the United States of America announced an OEM program. I almost don't need to say anything else. Ford's in a great place. They're being proactive and they're winning, I think, in this kind of tumultuous, kind of uncertain tariff marketplace.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I can't really add to your point. I'm 100% in alignment.
All right. Well, let's go to our next topic then, our second topic for the week, which brings us to a friend of the Ziegler Auto Group and another dealer here in the Chicagoland area, Napleton Automotive. It came out as being ranked number one in digital lead response for 4 years in a row. So Napleton Automotive just ranked number one in digital leads response for the fourth year in a row because they prioritize fast, focused follow-ups. 96% of web leads got a call in under 24 hours, with 75% of those happening in 15 minutes, which makes me think of a great quote from what's the anchor man? 75% of the time, it happens every time. Is 75% acceptable for a lead response in 15 minutes, Yuli?
Yeah, listen, I have to weigh in here based off of, the last two organizations. I'm not understanding how 2025 we're at 96% of web leads get a call under 24 hours. Now,
I
I know it's
know.
difficult to staff a BDC 7 days a week and you don't need to be fully
That's
staffed.
That's an
But
excuse, by the way.
that's
Excuse.
an excuse. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have people working from home, limited staff, extra spiffs as far as setting an appointment on Saturday. I think you're going to respond to 100% of the leads in under 24 hours. And then I need a little more context for the 75% of these things happening in 15 minutes. Is that weighing in after hours or weekend things? I don't expect it to be 100% if they're taking non-business hours. But what do you
Yeah.
think?
It's interesting. I would love to know, how is this metric put together, right? So the
Yeah.
entity that created this survey, how are they calculating it? Uh, I have real questions. This shows a training opportunity in the automotive industry. I would hope at our auto group that we are responding to leads very quickly, that we're as close to 100% to that 15 minutes as possible. But I would like to know the metric. And if we're
Yeah.
not there, let's go all in and train to make sure we deliver that great experience.
For
You
sure.
you look at all the tools out there, Yuli, AI, you look at
Mhm.
at training companies that are willing to come in and help us deliver our best selves. There shouldn't be a world where we're that far back. And we have rankings. If they
Yeah,
can show us where the rankings are at the moment, you can see where different auto groups stack up according to these results. And we're
yeah.
waiting for that. It's the next one, but they're coming up. Um, but my
And
take
to
is if this is true, that's a problem in the industry we have got to fix. We have got to get to 100%. And listen, I want the graph showing all the different groups for a very specific reason. We're on this list. Um, and we're going to wait just a minute, Yuli. What's your take on this? How quickly should we be answering leads?
well, I think to your point, I think you probably have 100% of leads are being answered. I mean, we implemented AI across every rooftop. So you're going to get an autoresponder, which is bogus now, but AI, you want a personalized response. But this is specifically measuring a phone call and an
Yeah.
inbound phone call to the customer, right? So,
Yep. Okay, so we're not gonna be able to see
yeah.
the rankings. It'll be in the show notes. You'll see a link to it. We may start with
Mhm.
it next episode on Friday, because I wanna show you where we rank, which is
Mhm.
unacceptable in my mind. We are gonna I predict that our auto group at the next ranking will be right at the top of the list, but we'll share that next up on Friday. So, let's go to our next topic, Yuli.
Mhm.
Toyota Financial Services is turning Instagram into an F&I power tool. Toyota Financial Services launched at Toyota Financial on Instagram, sharing short term videos on leasing, vehicle service agreements, and key ownership moments. The first posts include myth busting clips on leasing, comparison between buying and leasing, and simplified legal terms. Breaking down, many of these posts are under 3 minutes. But the main purpose, as we get it, Yuli, is to highlight finance and insurance products. What's your take on this? I have an
I
opinion
think
on this, just so you know,
Oh,
given
I
my
know you
Zurich
do.
background. I'm ready to go.
Listen,
Let's go.
I think it's interesting. I think it's great. I mean, topically for a bank or an OEM as large as Toyota Financial Services
Yeah.
to kind of pull back the curtain and maybe I know that their end goal is to remove some of that apprehension of entering the finance office, and the more
Yeah.
you know, the less apprehensive you'll be when you're sitting there. I think it's a difficult thing for a consumer who buys one or two vehicles every handful of years to fully absorb this.
Okay. So
Obviously,
so get
yeah,
this. Here's my take, Yuli. The buzzword in the industry for the past 3, 4 years has been digital retailing, and it's one of
yes.
the biggest myths in automotive that exists. Because
Ooh,
as the CEO of Sonic came on and said in the Amazon episode we did in the industry spotlight, a couple months ago, no one has really figured out well how to share F&I products to create the need like a human has using digital technology. Amazon hasn't figured it out. Big groups, even Carvana, they just haven't figured out how to get the adoption rate or the penetration rate up to where a living, breathing finance manager can. And for the industry to succeed, given as much revenue as there is at risk in F&I, the industry has to figure and solve for that before technology can really do this. So I love what Toyota's doing here. It's a great step towards making that step and that process more transparent and
yeah,
educating the customer before it comes in. But I would tell you, as well intended as it is, it's not going to solve the problem of increasing pen rate on digital transactions. That person needs to do that today. Technology needs to learn how to do that and needs to learn how to figure it out. Thoughts,
I
Yuli?
agree.
All
I
right.
agree wholeheartedly. Yeah,
All right. Well, Yuli, that was a fun news segment. We're going to start next on Friday with the ranking because I love to win, and here we want to win. And so I want to share with all of our viewers where we sit versus
Yeah.
everybody else, and we are going to win in this. But let's transition, shall we, to our first dealer or first interview for today.
Chris, welcome. Welcome to the show. Thank you so
Anthony,
much for joining us.
thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So let me ask you, who are you? Who is the company? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my background is I'm an engineer by training and worked in the auto industry for a number of years. And had the opportunity about 3 years ago, learned about an idea being incubated to bring back a affordable new vehicle, and was really excited to hear about that because there's a need for it in the market today. As you guys know, the cost of vehicles is so high. 55 million vehicles transacted every year. About 15,000 new, 40,000 used. Average cost of a new vehicle is about $50,000. Equates to a $900 monthly payment. Average cost of a used is $27,000. Equates to a little over a $500 monthly payment. And studies have come out recently that for those that make $100,000 a year, to have good balanced financials, that they should put about $400 towards a car payment. So for them to even get into an average used vehicle, it's really become a stretch for them. So our mission was to bring back an affordable new vehicle. We started working on this in 2022 and just incubated what if. What if we only put into the vehicle what makes it a vehicle, and then made it a platform that's very DIYable, so people can have fun with it and they can decide what features and accessories they want to put on the vehicle, either at time of purchase or as their budget allows them to do that with time. And it doesn't even have to be the first owner. As time goes on and more of the slates are out in the field, it can be the second owner or the third owner that can continue to modify the vehicle because it's been designed up front to take accessories. For example, we at the very outset started working with one of the largest wrap providers in the United States to educate us on what does it take to wrap a vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's been brought into the design. And you guys may be familiar, others may not. Really what makes it difficult or very time consuming in wrapping a vehicle is the lines of the vehicle itself, as well as the hardware that's chosen and placed on the vehicle, and the ease of being able to put a wrap around it, or you have to deconstruct the vehicle and just take it apart to get the wrap on. And so through giving this advisement, we've designed it up front very linear, both in the exterior and the interior of the design, thinking about our hardware choices so you don't have to remove any hardware. And through what we've used as the material on the exterior panels, it's a composite material that's injection molded. We've actually put in character lines that allow us to be able to have seams, and it helps with putting a wrap on the vehicle. So it can be very DIY when you put the wrap on. And that's what we're trying to do through this platform is any of the accessories that go on the vehicle, we want it to be that if an owner wants to do that, we'll be creating Slate University, and Slate University will be able to help people understand what it takes to put an accessory on, be it the wrap, be it that you can take this truck as we produce it and sell it in one configuration, and you can turn it into a 5-passenger SUV. As you see here on the screen, multiple colors that can go onto the vehicle through wraps. We want people really to accessorize. We're putting the power of choice into the owner of the vehicle, giving it back to them. And not only the first owner, the second owner, the third owner, and even the first owner can change it 3 or 4 times in what they want it to be.
So Chris, I when you were describing the exterior of the vehicle, I was involved with Saturn for many years before it went away. It's the same material, right, as the Saturn S.
It is very similar properties, very similar characteristics. Where Saturn had still painted, we do a molded in color, a slate gray that we have, but a very neutral palette upon which, even if it's somebody who can't afford a full wrap, we design decal packages just enough that with $200 you can really just take the vehicle turn it into, your personality and what you want it to be.
So
So
the
I think the most fascinating,
Oh, go ahead.
point about this has been obviously the price point and the accessibility that obviously you're going to bring to the market. But I got to ask, because if you talk to any OEM executive, they say 15,000 is kind of the starting point for safety standards in the United States. How are you guys able to build this and scale into profitability?
So from the very outset, we wanted to break it down again to what really needs to go in the vehicle, and safety is a big one for us. So we are designing it to be a new car assessment program 5-star, so NCAP 5-star, IIHS top safety pick. So we do have, as part of the features on the vehicle as standard, a forward-facing camera for autonomous or automatic emergency braking, a backup camera, electronic stability control. Those features are there. But what we looked at is what's not necessary to go into the vehicle. And one of the major cost drivers in a vehicle, and they're getting much, much bigger today, is screens, right? Everybody amps up on their screens, and like, we turned left, or everybody's going
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We turned left and said, most people today are getting their navigation, their streaming audio, their key contacts from their phone. So let's just create an app and allow people to use their phone, which is going to be their connection to get their nav. If they want to bring in a tablet, we have a accessory bar you see on the screen right now, where you can put a clip in and be able to bring a tablet into the vehicle that can have a larger screen. Or the center storage bin that we have has been designed in the right dimensions to be able to put in a double din radio. So if you really do want to bring in a radio, it's again that power of choice back to the owner to say, you know what, I do want to put in a radio, but we're not going to make that decision. We're going to leave it up to the owner.
So you've solved for the cost piece, which is tough in the auto industry to get at the price point where you are, notwithstanding the safety and security stuff. Where will this vehicle be built? And where will it be built?
Yeah, so we've made the decision to build it in Warsaw, Indiana. We wanted to be
Oh,
in the heart of the United States, close to where many of the automotive suppliers are, so that we can help to keep our logistics costs down. And what's important for us is we also want to reindustrialize America through what we're doing. And we've selected a location that was shuttered in September of 2023. It used to build, since the 1950s, it produced catalogs and phone books and very large format printing. And
wow.
to the digital age, there's really not
Yeah.
a need for that anymore. And the footprint really works for us. We're thrilled with the community. They've been so welcoming to us. Great labor force that's there. So we're really excited that that's where we're going to have our first plant.
That is awesome that you're repurposing a facility like that. I don't recall totally what a phone book is, but I'll Google that or do Chat GPT when we're
Hey,
done. But Chris,
Sam,
how? Oh,
I
go
got a
ahead.
burning question real quick. Sorry.
Do it. Yeah.
How have the deposits been? How many deposits are you guys getting?
Yeah, so we've had a great response to the number of reservations that we have, and so it's a $50 refundable reservation that you can place. What we're seeing a lot, as well as people come to Slate Auto, and if you haven't tried it yet, is our Slate Maker. So you can actually go out and format the type of vehicle that you want, and you can start to build it, you can save it, you can share it with others. It doesn't mean that's what you're signing up for. What you're signing up for with the $50 reservation is the blank slate. So you're just getting a
Yeah.
place in line now,
Mm.
so that as we start production, you can be one of the first to
But
have
how
the.
many?
We're doing all right. So we're not quite ready to share the number yet, but we're doing all right.
It's enough to start building in Indiana. When do you start production?
Yeah, so we will have customer sellable units in the fourth quarter of 2026.
So you made a decision, Chris, to go around the dealer franchise system, and you are direct distribution. What was your thought process in that? And did you look at both models? Why go direct?
Yeah, for us, what's important is the direct relationship with the consumer. As I explained earlier, it's very different what we're offering with a platform that's very DIY, comes in a configuration of one, and you can add accessories not in packages, but individually a la carte as to what you want to build the vehicle to be. And we feel it's very important that we create that relationship directly with the consumer. We want to build a community around that. And we want to make sure that we're hearing directly from them that they are satisfied with our product, with our offerings, and what we're providing to them.
So up later on in the show, we've got Ryan Maher with a company called Bizzycar. They specialize in recalls. Where will your service take place, and what will things like recalls look like in caring for the customer post sale?
Yeah, so we'll be building a network of institutions and companies that are already within communities to work with us on service and what we think more importantly is accessory install. So we have this mantra of we want DIY. We want people to have pride of ownership. We want to be excited about being able to modify their vehicle and customize it. But we know that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And so we need to have partnerships, and we're working on developing those partnerships within the community that people can take their vehicle to in order to have accessories added or change it out over time. And more to come on that in the future as well.
All right. We have a bunch of questions coming up. So first up from Melissa Boyer, do you see any showrooms in the future where customers can go see these?
So we'll be starting in the next month in June a roadshow. So stay tuned on our website. We will advertise that, and we'll be going all across the U.S. with some vehicles, and we'll be able to allow people to see those, understand those better, get to know more about it. And that's how we'll be doing our first introduction of Slate and getting people exposure to the vehicle.
All right. Next question up. Can you disclose the total number of configurations spec'd via the Slate builder instead of the number of reservations? Ooh, that's a good question. That's hard hitting from our audience. Way to go, CDG crowd.
It's that is a great question, and there's probably a number that goes to it. I almost want to say it's infinite because like it's not only that I talked about like the decal packages, and you can do a full wrap. Well, then you can do split wrap. Like I want the upper part to be one color and the lower part to be another color. I want the front to be a color, back to be a color. I change out the wheels. It's really
no. I think Will is asking more along the lines of, do you have a number of like with specificity, how many have been built and saved?
I do not have that off the top of my head, but I know that it is very active.
Yeah. So there was a rumor when Yossi and CDG posted about Slate, and there was the excitement around the video that launched, and it created this wave, that there was a post on your office wall of the CDG announcement. Any credibility behind this? Is this truth or fiction? Fact or fiction?
So I assume that you're going back to the post that was, I don't know, maybe a year or 18 months about whoever builds the Spirit airline of cars will become a billionaire. Is that
yes? Yes.
I would say in hard print, no. Digitally, it was passed quite a bit within our organization as inspiration. Again, we were in stealth. And for us, it was like, hey, CDG gets it. Like what we're working on, they get what we're trying to do and what the need is. So it really pumped us up.
I got a quick one for you.
Go ahead.
No. Any plans on fleet?
We do offer fleet as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go to Slate.auto now, and fleet can apply and put in a reservation. We do have a small fleet sales team that is reaching out to those that have larger fleets. But, we want to look at it as a strategy. Some have larger, but we really also want to serve like those small owners, small business owners who just need a little fleet, but it's really going to be impactful for them from a total cost of ownership perspective to have it at the price point it's at, be an electric vehicle, lower maintenance that they have to have on the vehicle, less repairs that they have to do. So we're welcoming anybody from the fleet community that wants to join us on Slate.
So it's fascinating what you're doing. It's awesome what you're doing from a price standpoint to be able to come in at that. It's a tricky feat. You think about Tesla that went direct to consumer, and you think about all the government subsidies they got in that environment way back when. It took Tesla 17 years to become profitable, right? And that's even giving all of the government money that was out there. And we may be in a marketplace where there's not as much of that. How long do you project, or does your pro forma show to becoming profitable as you venture into this?
Yeah, we expect when we're at full production at 150,000 units of volume by the end of 2027, we expect to be profitable.
Very good.
Wow.
Well, those are high aspirations. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
you know what? Props to you for bringing it to Warsaw, Indiana. That's very close to our home here at Ziegler. In fact, we've got 2 Subaru stores that split you. So that's neat to see production capacity and capabilities going there. So, and Chris, we appreciate you being on the show today. So it's
Hey,
been
thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so
awesome.
much, Chris.
Thanks for
And it's,
showing so much interest in us.
yeah, yeah. Well, and we want to see, if anything does get posted to a wall, please post it to social media because it's a fun back and forth. And as consumers learn more about what you're about and what you're doing, it's awesome to follow. And good luck to you as you do it. So
Great.
thanks, Chris.
For
Thanks,
sure.
Sam. Thanks, Yuli.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Take care.
All right, Yuli, this brings us up to that was a fun interview, wasn't it? Like it's
Yeah.
interesting to
You know,
hear what they're up to and what their aspirations are. What
I
a
got a
what a
question for
tough
you.
deal.
Like,
Okay,
what do
go ahead.
you think that the OEMs are going to do? Given this, I mean, if they're going fleet, we had a comment pop up. We didn't get a chance to read it, but I mean, it's a great little unit for, pest control, parts delivery, stuff like that. I mean, you think
Yeah.
the OEMs respond or too big?
That price point is so tough. I mean, to your point earlier, there's a dollar amount to make a vehicle safe for OEMs. It looks like Slate has solved for a cost issue that is and a price point that may be tough for anybody else in our current environment to hit. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what the OEMs do and how they react to it. I mean, they've got to. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, what do we got on the industry pulse?
All right. So coming up on the industry pulse today is a post from Brett Morgan, who posted a dealer, right? Posted this recently about all the different metrics they're tracking and analyzing on a day-to-day basis. How big is the Morgan Auto Group? I need to find out how many rooftops they've got. I may have to put this in the chat here, but he said we took 2 minutes in our auto group general manager class to talk about things we manage or measure, specifically in the variable side of the business. Sure, there's more to add, but wow, just wow, powerful to put this on paper. And I tell you, I love these data points, big groups who are super successful. And Brett Morgan gets all of his people together. They do their own 20 group type meeting and they learn from each other. They challenge each other. So when you look at this list, Yuli, what stands out to you?
I mean, literally number one, right? They
Yeah.
supply by dollars, units, new and
Yeah.
used. I think that's a strong metric to look at. I mean, the other ones are to me very, very obvious. Average inventory value, transactional prices are things I think we all track in our stores. I mean, I know I did daily. So you could
Yeah.
stock the right vehicles, order the right new cars, order the right used cars.
Yeah.
But a lot of this, I mean, to your point, I think it's a really strong thing to do within a dealer group, get
So
the collective pulse.
F&I chargebacks, what's the number? 10.
Oof,
I'm
it's
going to give you the answer. 10%. Brett
yeah,
challenges if this isn't true. 10% is kind of the NADA industry average, if memory serves. If you're under that, you're probably not prescribing enough, and if you're over that, it's a potential challenge to get over that. So I would say chargebacks 10%. Lender penetration. I love this one right now because the
mhm,
relationship with direct lenders right now is more important than ever. For large groups the size of Brett Morgan's, a group the size of ours, a single point, having a bulletproof relationship with a lender that's two-way, there is nothing more important in automotive. You can ask your lenders to do more for you if you have a relationship and you're giving them enough transactions, and you protect each other in a way that if you have 100 different lenders in a small store, you're not going to be able to give anybody love. So I love that they're measuring that. And
yeah.
Brett Morgan, if you get a chance, I would love to see lender penetration, what your requirements are across the group.
So
Let's do
I
two
have
more.
a fun fact on what you just said. So at the
Okay.
last group that I was at, or the group prior, we had
Yeah.
someone dedicated to cultivating and nurturing those relationships and going back
Yeah. You have
and
to.
rehashing every deal, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, I mean, I think it used to be easier 10 years ago, right? Getting banks to stretch. But when you have that personal relationship, which I know I have developed myself over the past 20 years, you get them
Yeah.
to do things that they wouldn't do normally.
Yeah. All right. Do you have a take on water and used car inventory? It's one of my favorite reports. You go into Auto, your inventory management system, like eh, used car managers everywhere. Hopefully everybody's listening. You could have water. What does water mean, Yuli, by the way, for our audience?
Oof, water. Well,
How,
go ahead.
how much of a loss do you have in your inventory that's
Oh,
not
yeah. How much of
realized,
a
right? Once you sell it, it's
absolutely.
gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people sit on it and they'll actually try to time it. And there's some great things you can do to help prevent used car sales managers from timing inventory. But I'd love to hear. I mean, we need Brett Morgan on, actually. This is such a great list. I would go line item by line item. So call out to Brett Morgan. We'd love to have you on. Look to book on trades. That's a cool deal. PVR front and back. That's a cool deal.
Mhm.
Um, the other one that really stands out to me as a newer one is even your reputation online and monitoring and measuring that. I'd love to hear how he's doing that. Any thoughts on that, Yuli, before we head to our
Who I
next
was
topic?
going to ask you in your organization, who's monitoring that? I know that was something that I handled on my day to day
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah. So it's cool. In our auto group, the general managers run a great business in their own individual store. So they are command and control of that online reputation at the store level. And then we have tools that we're able to watch at the auto group level. So there's kind of a check. There's kind of a check and a balance on that. But we have such great professionals across the group that they're assassins at doing it at their individual group level. But I'll tell you what, in today's world where, I loved how she said they're building Slate in a phone book factory. Like,
Yeah,
an older generation of GMs might be more comfortable flipping through a phone book than reviewing online reputation, and that can take some training. And so that Brett Morgan and his team are doing that. I would love to have him on in a future episode and bring him in. So
for sure. For sure.
should we turn to our next guest, Yuli? I think this is a very cool industry pulse, and
I
thank you to
agree.
Brett Morgan for posting this. And by the way, how many dealers are transparent enough where they're willing to put that out there? I believe it's not about knowing in today's world anymore with Chat GPT and all the information that's out there. And Brett Morgan knows this. It's about executing on the information we have, and not everybody, Yuli, can execute equally. And so that's what's
No,
really
that's
cool
so
about Brett.
true.
He's throwing it out
Yeah.
there as we would in our auto group. And
Yeah.
he's saying, here's what we're looking at. Challenge us on it. Show us a better
Yeah.
way. Right. All right.
1000% the data's available.
All right. Well, next up, we get to bring on someone that we know, Ryan Maher with Bizzycar. Ryan,
Welcome,
welcome.
Ryan.
Hey, Sam. Hey, Yuli. Good to see you.
Ryan, it's so fun to have you back because we've had you on the industry spotlight in the past. People can go back and listen to that episode and find out more about you and your company. You're unusual, Ryan, because you're at the intersection and the crossroads of two things: vendor and dealer. Tell us about the dealerships that you own, and then how you got into this crazy vendor world.
Yeah, so third generation dealer. My grandfather started off after World War II as one of the Volkswagen distributors from the Midwest. We grew up in the space. My uncle and my father owned almost 20 stores at one time, and now
Wow.
my brother runs our operation here in St. Louis. And yeah, it's definitely fun being on the dealer side, and
Yeah.
then shifting to the vendor side. You gotta appreciate what those guys go through. I'm definitely a little bit nicer to my vendors these days than I was
Oh, I
in the dealer.
disagree, Ryan. I've been in the vendor space and now I'm in the dealer space. And I actually expect more of the vendors, and it drives some of our vendors nuts. I sit down and I'm like, look, your ability to interact in our store has everything to do with my credibility. And if you don't execute and deliver at the highest level, that's going to be a problem. I feel like I require more of them than maybe had I not had that vendor experience.
Well, I didn't say we don't require more of them. I just said I'm a
I love
little
it. Okay.
nicer.
All right. Well, teach me how to be nicer. We'll try to be nicer. So,
Yeah.
um, tell us about Bizzycar. How did Bizzycar come about? And in maybe 5 seconds, what does it do?
Yeah, so invented in one of my stores. We were tired of dealing with the Takata airbag recall. We were getting hit up by the OEMs. And so we built an automated recall platform that identifies recalls and, most importantly, schedules them automatically for repair.
Auto magically. Yeah.
Yeah, you like that?
Okay. Yeah, I do.
Chat
I'm stealing
GPT,
that.
that one.
Yeah.
A busy,
Auto
buzzy word.
magically.
Yeah, we're busy every week.
So
Oh,
specifically, what your program does is we all know in the automotive world, and actually anywhere, you can't just text anyone that comes to mind, right? And there are a lot of people out there in the marketplace who you would love to text, you'd love to communicate with. Maybe they've never done business with your dealership before. This product allows you to reach out to that customer by texting them without opt-in, right?
Yeah, we're at the end of the day, we're a retention driver. So 70
Yeah.
million cars on the road today with an open recall. About 1 out of 4 folks on
Wow.
the road have one. It's a huge problem in the United States. We recalled 27.4 million cars last year, and the challenge with a lot of where dealers have today is that you can't reach these customers that you want back in the store. But
Yeah.
we have a silver bullet, right? We can text these customers without their consent. They're exempt from TCPA, and we're driving customers in that have an unsafe car, right? We want to get them in the store, and if they come in the store and we can have a conversation with them, that obviously leads to some retention improvement.
Yeah. So it's an auto magic tool that doesn't require a lot of background. What has been the biggest obstacle to implementation in stores where they're used to managing a process or guiding a process or watching it, right?
Yeah, so the hardest thing that we're pushing is right now this is a manual process for most dealers. So if you come into my stores 5 years ago, we'd have 4 people managing this. You have your BDC manager, your service advisor, your service manager, and the parts manager. We always forget about the parts manager. We've brought all this together. So we have integrated with the OEMs. We're the only vendor that does that. We're getting data feeds from the OEMs. We're integrated to your DMS. We're integrated to your service scheduling tool. And then most importantly, that parts. You can't forget about the parts manager. So
Yeah.
intersecting all this stuff together. The only obstacle we will typically face is you'll hear this from dealers. Hey, we do this internally, or we want to cut cost. I'm like, there is no freaking way your store can do what we do. You're competing against a computer. And I don't know
Yeah.
what you pay your BDC folks, Sam, but we pay ours a lot. And I
Yeah.
want them focused on selling cars. I want them
Yeah, you're not
focused
taking
on
away the job. Yeah.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
And that's another misconception. You get a lot of BDC managers that get stressed out when we come into their store. Don't be stressed. We're giving you superpowers so that you can
Yeah.
go and focus on other things like customer issues, selling
Yeah.
cars, getting the lead into the store.
Ryan, you're on the front lines of AI technology and implementation in dealerships. And for some reason in automotive, we've been a little bit slower to comfortably adopt AI because we are a people business. It's people. You heard us talk about it earlier today. Like digital retailing is a big myth. It is not fully delivered. Why do you think there's so much reticence to adopt AI? And all AI isn't equal, right? So, like, not all tools are good. What's the reticence, and what advice would you give to the GM or the dealer that's super comfortable with the phone book, flipping through that, but not as comfortable listening to a presentation about Auto Magic AI, right? And it'll just happen. You don't need to do anything, right?
Yeah, a second phone book reference today. I got to get
Yeah.
one of these phone books.
Yeah.
Uh, I think GMs are reticent and service managers because they like to touch everything. They need
Ooh,
to
yeah.
really understand it and feel it. And when I go into a lot of stores where the GM is just, they got their tentacles and everything, their sales are flat. The last 5 years,
Mhm.
they sold the same amount of cars every year. And where in an AI driven world, you've got to let these tools help give you those superpowers. And so where we've really seen lift is on the fixed op side, a little bit on variable. Variable is complicated. A lot of questions with how AI is gonna work. But on fixed ops, AI is a slam dunk. You need to be doing things like online scheduling, online outreach, parts integration. The fact that we still have to have the service advisor call the parts manager every time we have a question,
Mm,
that's nuts. What a
Yeah.
waste of time. And if
Yeah.
you can leverage these AI tools to make you more efficient, you're gonna win.
So we had on the industry spotlight the head of technology for Fox Motor Group, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he gave a great quote a couple weeks ago. He said there are some dealer groups that are already out of business because they haven't adequately implemented AI, and they'll never be able to catch up. And I think this is an interesting example of that. Like, how often is a customer and I'm only talking about this because we've talked in the past. How often has a customer walked through the door, said, "Hey, I'm here for this recall," and the parts manager's like, "Well, I don't have the part. I have the slot in the schedule, but I don't have the part." And AI can like solve for that, right? And true, there's some AI that can't, but what you're saying your AI will do it. It will do it, right? What would you say to some dealers are already out of business. They just don't know it yet because they haven't been forward thinking enough about AI.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're living in the age of, of dial-up internet, and they'll probably still advertising in the newspaper.
Phone book. Yeah.
Yeah, there is just we're here, right? This isn't
Yeah.
I was in the Marine Corps, and I used to tell my Marines, this is happening, guys. You
Yeah.
make sure you're in the right meeting. And
Yeah.
and with AI, I think the way that we describe it, to folks is you've got to have the right data integrations. There's a
Yeah.
lot of headline stuff, some snake oil out there. Anybody can use ChatGPT, but you got to have the right data integration, and fixed ops is the number one spot. We're always short on technicians. We're short on good service advisors. If you can make them more efficient, just a 5 or 10% lift there, it translates into hundreds of thousands of dollars to your bottom line. And if you're a dealer and you're like, maybe I should check this thing out, a lot of great vendors out there. We'd of course love to be, one to talk to you about it, but start on something specific like
Yeah.
recalls or
Yeah.
booking service appointments. We've expanded beyond recalls. We're doing a lot of really exciting stuff there. And I think that there's going to be 2 or 3 big players in the next 2 years, and everybody else is going to go by the wayside.
Well, we got Frank Dante's asking, what's the name of this service? And he needs it at his store. We know it's Bizzycar. And to your point, we understand this on the ground as a cultural issue, right? Everyone thinks that AI is going to replace their job. It's not. It's like a calculator. I mean, I'm great at math, but that doesn't mean that I don't use a calculator to be even better and more efficient, right?
Yeah,
So it frees up time. It allows you to be more effective, and it allows you to dive deeper. I mean, why shouldn't we automate all of these mundane tasks?
what we
You hit the
say.
nail on the head.
So another Marine Corps analogy, it's like using night vision. This is a force multiplier, right?
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
Yeah.
gives you
Yes.
better access. And now you can, where the human needs to be focused is on the really complicated stuff that the AI can't do. And that's where I think we are today.
So Ryan, taking your Bizzycar hat off, but still keeping it gently on from a dealer perspective, if you're wanting to find the best AI generated tools that aren't a waste of time, aren't a waste of money, but actually work, where would you go? Besides, by the way, I'm going to say CDG Dealer Live because we'll keep it coming here, and the Industry Spotlight and Yossi
This is the
Show.
only place to go.
Where can you go to understand and learn more about the tools? Because they're not all equal. Some people will stamp AI on it, and some of these F&I selling tools are a great example of it. And it's just not, it's not real, Ryan.
No.
And it's a waste of time. And we can't waste time. So I think that's part of some of the reticence of AI generated solutions in the industry, Ryan.
Yeah, the number one thing to focus on, I visit a lot of dealers these days. And I was with a big publicly traded group last week. The way that I always talk about this is, what problem are we solving for? What
Yeah.
are we trying to fix? And,
Yeah.
I love the Brett Morgan quote earlier on variable. A lot of KPIs that are there. Only these larger groups are really pushing that kind of data. So what's in fixed ops, what do you have that you need to solve for? And that is where AI should be leveraged. Recalls is like a perfect spot for that, right? You have the OEM, you got the dealer, you got the customer. This is just not something a dealer should having to be dealing with. Missed opportunities. Customer comes into your store. They have a recall on their vehicle, but they didn't know about it. Come on, we're better than that. You should use AI to solve for that. Those
Yeah.
are very, what we call, discrete use cases where AI can solve it. Where should you not apply AI? HR. Don't put it
Yeah.
there right now. Probably not a good use.
Not yet. So I got one other problem to solve for. On Monday, Yuli brought us the stat that 1 out of every phone calls inbound to a car dealership is absolutely bungled. So, Ryan, at your dealerships, have you implemented any solution that seems elite in the call answering? Because it seems like a younger generation, never mind the phone book, it's tougher to pick up the phone and interact well.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying use AI for other discrete use cases. Man, the voice thing is tricky.
Yeah,
We've
it
looked
is
at all.
tricky.
Our platform is built on OpenAI, which is what ChatGPT is built on. Microsoft has raised $50 billion. If you're a vendor in our industry and you're trying to build something that, and Microsoft hasn't figured it out yet, there's probably an indication that we're not quite ready for AI. The voice stuff, I want it to work. I really, really do. I think it's better than some of the voice menus out there. But if I'm being candid with you, AI voice, I don't know if we're there yet. I think we need another year or two to let that come through. I don't want to piss off customers. So use AI for things that you can solve over text, over email, where somebody can supervise this, and then free up your BDC, free up your service advisors to work the phones.
Yeah. In
Nice.
fact, I was at
Ryan.
a meeting with Chase recently, and they talked about how internally they're
Chase
using
Frazier?
AI, but it's Chase Bank,
Or
but they're
Chase
not
Bank.
using it externally yet, right? They're trying to get the latency down and get it to sound more naturally. Yuli.
Ooh, great topic. Hi, Sam. Owen from DDC. I don't know Owen. Do you know Owen?
What'd he say? Great topic. Hi, Sam. Owen from DDC. Oh, yeah. Dealer.com. Yeah, he's our guy. So a lot of great AI-driven technology solutions there. So Ryan Maher, we absolutely appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for coming on to share your perspective. Hopefully you'll be back soon. Again, unique perspective, dealer and vendor. And I'm saying, listen, we expect high things of every single vendor because I've been in that space. So we appreciate your perspective today. Thank you, Ryan, for joining the show.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Sam. See you,
Yuli. Ryan made an interesting point that they don't have AI for HR yet. And, when I think of HR, what comes to mind? Staffing, right?
HR. Yeah.
So, I mean, today our a quick sponsor is CDG Recruiting, which I mean, is probably the crux of any dealership is finding the right people, right? I mean, don't you have some experience with that recently?
I got to tell you, Yuli, finding the right people in automotive is tough. And I don't know why it is so tough, but it is tough. You look at any role and position anywhere else. I've put CDG Recruiting on notice. So 48 hours ago, I reached out to them and posted 2 positions. We have general manager positions available at our Toyota store and our Hyundai store in Racine, Wisconsin. Awesome opportunities, lights out potential, Toyota and Hyundai. And I think they're going to have this filled here. Should we put the clock on 7 days? I think they have it filled with an incredible candidate.
Probably less. There's a giant candidate pool that they have of top
and when they
talent.
do that, we'll bring the solution back here and we'll give them props and credit for it. And by the way, thanks to the CDG live daily dealer audience for also hearing that as well. So Yuli, props to CDG Recruiting.
Yeah. If you need your next rockstar hire, don't forget to visit cdgrecruiting.com. What do we got coming up next?
Dude, so now we get to head back into, again, our footprint, I believe Indiana. So fixed ops director at Rohrman Auto Group today joining us, Austin Conroy. Austin, thanks for joining the show.
Austin, thanks for
How's it going, guys? Yeah, good to be on. Thanks for having me. And we are in Indiana. I'm in Indianapolis right now.
Oh, nice. Very good. So we've got a couple stores very close by to you, and our 2 organizations know each other. You guys are elite. Tell us a little bit about how the heck you became a fixed ops director at Rohrman Toyota in 10 seconds or so.
Yeah. I think, first of all of us get into this business by mistake, and that is how I got into this business. And then
Me too.
I had been a service manager at a Toyota store. We had a lot of success, and I went to our COO, Trey Rohrman, at the time and said, "Hey, man, can I try this at another store? Here's a couple things that I've been doing that I feel like work. I want to see if it works at another store." And he said, "All right, fine." And, we created a role for it, and that's how it started.
Yeah. So let's just dive right into it. You're a successful organization. You're at a Toyota facility. What keeps you up at night as a fixed ops director in today's current environment at a Toyota store?
I get copied on every single 3-star and below review that we get online on like reputation.com and the Google and Facebook and all that. I mean, that's what keeps me up at night, the customer experience, because, where we fit in this whole cycle and fixed ops is so important. I think dealerships are realizing this more and more, not only from a profitability standpoint, but the more cars we can have coming in the drive, the more opportunities we have to trade them out of it, buy new, this whole cycle continues. Right. Sales team is going to, 10 to 12 customers a day, and, service, each advisor is going to handle 10 to 12 customers a day on their own. So the volume is just so much bigger through service. So that customer experience is really what keeps me up at night.
How did you break that to the sales team, Austin, that in fact, it's not the salespeople that sell the car, it's the industry age secret that it's service that sells that car because you keep bringing them back? How did you break that to them when you realized that for the first time?
You just got to tell them. I get in the sales huddle and tell them. I came from the sales floor. I have experience in finance as sales manager. I came from variable side. And so I went to bed one night a finance manager and woke up a service manager. which we don't have
Wait,
time for that story. But
that's outrageous. We need to have you back or have you on an industry spotlight because no one ever does that. I've never met another finance manager
Yeah,
that's
that's
gone into
funny.
fixed ops.
I had never written a repair order either. That was the best part of it. But
Yeah.
you know, it's been a fun experience. That's kind of how I like just be thrown in the fire and figure it out and learn.
So we
Let's get
talked about how
some more
oh, go ahead.
context there, though. Obviously, you're the backbone, right? Fixed operations. How's business? Tell us what's going on the ground. What are you seeing? What's the volume you guys are doing?
Yeah, business is good. I think, you know, transparently, the customer pay is lagging a little bit. And I feel like just nationwide it has been. We've really supported in March and April, specifically with the increase in sales volume with trade-in vehicles. So our internal numbers are up significantly. And then I would say the warranty work too, which is so brand dependent. I mean, we have great brands, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, Genesis, Kia, and we have a bunch of other brands in our group. Those are the ones that I have experience in overseeing. You know, the warranty work is coming. There's huge waves of recalls with these different brands. And so, you know, I think being diligent about warranty rate increases and different things that we do to affect profitability in fixed ops has been really, really important. But I would say overall, you know, we're really happy with where we're at. I mean, we had a couple stores set some really good records in April, and I know a lot of other auto groups did. And so we're super excited about the rest of this year. I think we just really need to key in on the customer pay aspect of it, and specifically, how can we retain these customers after the warranty runs out? You know, we're in a market, Lafayette, Indiana, which, you know, I know you know very well with the Subaru store being there. There's a lot of aftermarket shops there, you know, and there's a lot of DIYers there as well that'll kind of do their own maintenance. So we've struggled a little bit with that piece of it, but you know, we're rolling out a few things like a retention program that we're coming up with that I think is going to help a lot.
So the retention program will be your silver bullet. Give us some details on what you're looking at in that. And I promise I will not tell any of our stores so that we give them an advantage. It'll just be our secret, Austin. I won't let it out.
I mean, I'm not going to give you all the secret. It's pretty simple.
Oh, come on.
It's a buy two, get one free oil change program, but it's a pretty significant discounted rate, you know, and then we're going to be able to market to the customers with AI and different things to get them back in the store and make sure they're redeeming those services.
So what's your favorite AI tool? We spent a lot of time talking to Ryan about it, and we acknowledge AI is important. What tool are you using?
Well, first of all, let me say, I love that Ryan is a staunch opponent of the voice AI, as I am right now. You know, we had a voice AI tool about a year ago, and I always tell the story. I went to the doctor, and the lady looked at me in the eye, and she said, because I had a Rohrman logo on it, she said, "Oh, you work at Rohrman Auto. Are you the one responsible for that horrible voice AI that I scheduled for my
Oh,
month?"
no.
And I had to look at her in the eye and say, "Yeah, I am actually. I am."
Yeah.
And I went back to the store and I canceled it the next day.
Dude, that is awesome. That's what automotive
that's
is.
great.
You hear feedback and you instantly act on it.
I mean,
That
it
is
was
cool.
the first time I'd ever met her. I mean, it was the first time I'd ever been to that doctor, you know, just a yearly checkup. But anyways, I think that the AI tool that we use right now is Impel. We have a great relationship with Impel. And you know, to see how they've developed their product over the last couple of years since we've had a relationship with them, it's been awesome. They continue to roll out better conversational AI. They continue to roll out you know, more enhanced product features, and so they've been a great partner of ours. That's who we're using with currently, and you know, I've been really happy with them.
What are the plans for the future?
Plans for the future of AI?
For you, for the store, what's on the horizon? What are you gunning towards?
Yeah, I mean, man, I think it's just continuing to increase. I mean, you know, in this business, we're never happy. We have store of the year programs that have rolled out, you know, with metrics across the stores. And so I think the biggest thing for us is just to continue to elevate the customer experience however we can. We're an extremely data-driven group. And so we're using whatever data we can. We're on the forefront of the CDP project. I know it's becoming a buzzword now in automotive, but really trying to own our data and really trying to own the marketing of that data, looking at key events like service scheduling online. I know that's already been mentioned today, but you know, what can we do with those customers that start to book a service, but then they actually abandon off of that? So now we're able to have technology we can actually retarget them and get them back in to complete the form.
Austin, we need you back because we did the
sure.
industry spotlight. We talked to Impel. We talked to Fox Motor Group. This whole CDP thing is fascinating to me. It is a buzzword, but I think it is kind of the future. So we'd love to have you back. Last question, though. What are you doing on social? You're a unicorn in the fixed ops director world because, like, not everybody in fixed ops is on service like you are. How'd you get there? What are you doing? And And
I
what do
mean,
you
kind of
think?
like everything was a mistake. We had a relationship with Russ Flips Whips, who's on social media. I know a lot of
Oh
you
yeah,
know Russ Flips
yeah,
Whips. And so,
yeah.
Russ has kind of become definitely a good friend of mine, but also a mentor. He's like, dude, you got to start posting on social. And so you do a few funny skits, this persona now, dealer plate guy, being recognized in public, and just it's getting really weird. But I think I'm really kind of creating a community of technicians and really showing people behind the scenes. And I like to say I'm making fun of an industry I'm trying to change. So that's my motto. That's what I'm trying to live out through Dealer Plate Guy.
And that's what I
I
love
love
about
it.
this industry is there is so much transparency now where there hasn't been in the past. 20 years ago, we never could have done a podcast like this. We never could have done a live stream. People would have said, what would you say? So Austin Conroy, Fixed Ops Director, Rohrman Toyota, thank you for being on. Maybe we'll meet sometime near in that Lafayette market. So
Yeah, let me know if
uh,
you're in town.
absolutely appreciate your
Thanks for
perspective. So
coming out,
Yuli,
Austin.
what came through today that's
What
interesting in
came
the viewer
through?
comments as we wrap up?
There's so much to dive into with this AI stuff. You know how I feel about it. It's amazing. Let's see what's
Yeah.
Paul's saying. It's astounding how the auto industry can engineer 600 horsepower supercomputers on wheels, yet still can't get the CRM to talk to the DMS without a carrier pigeon.
That's a big disjointed piece. All the
Yeah.
different integrations, and talk about, to Paul's point, API has got to be one of the other frustrating buzzwords of the past year. Like
Yeah.
the number of times that the API has failed between our F&I provider and our menu over the past year is astounding. Like you have one job to ensure that that link works and you can't do the one job. So I agree 100% with you. What's up next, Yuli?
Will Bright, we triple dealer profit per vehicle with a hands-free cruise and pedestrian detection system. It takes 5 minutes to install at POP. Seems like a product. Self-plug. We appreciate
Nate the truck driver on
driver.
the Slate conversation. I'm just thinking that would be what these companies were hoping for when they discontinued the previous Ranger. Even on the relaunch, auto stores still bought Versas. So good perspective.
I'm so excited about Slate. Could be an awesome new niche car community from Cole on YouTube.
Are they wrong, Yuli, for going direct, or should they go through the dealer franchise system? Slate.
Well, yeah. I always think there's massive benefit to the franchise system, obviously, based off my experience. I'm sure you'll agree with me. I don't think anyone can care about the customer more than your local dealer.
I agree.
I
I agree,
path
but
to hell is paved in good intentions, right? But
I agree, but I also think you run the risk in a dealer world with big OEMs that are well established of that product getting back shelf. So Bose
I
Levin
agree.
one built in Indiana. We love it. And we agree. I already reserved 3, the Shack. She wouldn't tell us the
Nice.
number, but that's okay. We asked some questions that sometimes are tough. David Thomas says, great convo.
Thanks, David.
And by the way, and then J Law, our own J Law, Frontier Customers
Frontier
Beware.
customers
What do you think of
beware.
that, Yuli? So
I don't know that that's replacing the Frontier, but could be interesting. Could be interesting.
Yep. Well, what a show today. We're back on Friday, right?
On Friday. Monday, Wednesday,
Same
and Friday,
time,
baby.
Same channel. We're going to start out with a couple things, including that metric chart. We'll get that up. And we've got some dealer guests. We're not going to give away too many of the secrets. We'll probably announce it day of. And we're excited to see you back again, Yuli. So
I'm excited to see you every time. Listen, don't forget, you got to set your reminder because, again, this is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for watching Daily Dealer Live, where Sam Dark and Yuli DiMartino break down the biggest moves in the car business as they happen. Leave us your comments, subscribe, and be ready for our next episode Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.